Thanks so much for having us, and we're excited to join the Polygon ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you here as well. And thank you everyone for joining in for another AMA here on the Polygon Discord. So today we're speaking with Unipilot. They're a liquidity optimizer for Uniswap V3, and we have the quite a few members from the core team here today to talk with us about the protocol and showcase it. So yeah, really excited for this. Why don't we kick this off doing some introductions? Why don't you guys tell us a bit about yourselves, who you are, what's your background, what you're doing before crypto, and what got you into the space?
Sure, I can go first then. So my name's David. I am working at Unipilot full time, focused on everything that's non-technical. So essentially things like brand, strategy, communications, social media, marketing, stuff like that. So previously I had a sort of normal 9 to 5 job as an editor. Started following crypto in early 2018. Really went down the rabbit hole in sort of 2020, 2021. Got involved at another DAO for a while, and then through there, through networking and building up connections, I I got to know Taha, which is one of the co-founders of Unipilot, and we were chatting about something once, and he said, "Hey, we could use your ability at Unipilot." So I got involved part time, and then earlier this year went full time.
Awesome.
Who's next?
Okay, so let me give you guys a little introduction about myself. Hi, I'm Mubashir, and I'm a computer science graduate. I was introduced to the Web3 ecosystem 2 years ago when I was still completing my graduation from a university, and it's been since 2 years since I've been working in the ecosystem of decentralized finance. I started working as a developer. I was working on the front end side, and we were working for a client, which is, by the way, is a mutual body whom we and I and David worked for. And then when Uniswap V3 was announced, we studied it and we found the niche of optimizing the liquidity. So I'm currently working as a product manager at Unipilot, and I oversee all of the processes from marketing to development. And yeah, so that's the whole current journey of me for in this ecosystem. And since then, I've been learning and working on the product for that.
Fantastic. Did anyone else want to introduce themselves for the Unipilot team?
Hello everyone, my name is Abdur Rahman and I am a financial student in my final year. So I'm a severely non-technical guy, but got the gist and everything with the time working with the team. I handle everything from maximizing returns and decreasing on how we could sort of mitigate the risks. I handle the financial side of the strategy. What got me into the space was that I initially had a bit of push off for technology, and Web3 was really exploding. The DeFi ecosystem was really exploding. It was like last 18 months or something like that. So I found what better way to go from TradFi to DeFi with the tools I learned in TradFi. And what really got me intrigued in Unipilot and ultimately Uniswap was the mathematical equations of an AMM. So yeah, that's a short description for you.
Hey guys, I'm Anas, and I've been doing the research related things in the Unipilot, and I'm also involved in the technical side of the Unipilot related to the development and research. Before crypto, I was just a student, nothing much. Started my journey from the Web3, and yeah, me and Mubashir started the same time and the same way.
Awesome. Well, it's great to meet all of you, and I'm really excited to learn more about Unipilot. I understand you guys just went live on Polygon recently, correct? So I'm wondering if we could talk a bit more about like what the development journey has looked like for Unipilot. You know, when was it started? Like, where you guys currently at? What inspired it? How many people are on the team? That sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. We can start from the very beginning, I guess, and give a bit of a background. So Mabashir alluded to this already. So if we go back a little bit further, actually, with Uniswap V2, the prior iteration of Uniswap, liquidity is spread across an infinite range. Now, this makes it not very capital efficient, but it makes it really easy for users to use and understand. The user experience is super simple. And I think early last year, they launched Uniswap V3, which was quite different. Liquidity can be provided in specific ranges, so they have a concentrated liquidity feature. And this is where Uniswap becomes much harder for the average user to use. So I looked at it when it was new and was going to provide liquidity, and I kind of gave up. I was like, this is a bit confusing. So you, the user, has to choose the range for your liquidity. So if you have a really narrow range, you can actually earn really high fees, but you don't want to be in a position where your liquidity goes out of range in 5 minutes or in a day or even in a week or a month, because you stop earning any fees. And on to the next point on the slide, the second problem with that is when your liquidity goes out of range, you have to make up to 3 transactions to get it back in range. So you have to, and on Ethereum as well, this is quite a big problem. So you have to pay to remove the liquidity, to swap assets to get back to a suitable ratio for adding liquidity, and then a third transaction to re-add the liquidity. So this can be super expensive. So, you could, each time you have to do this, it could be $100 on Ethereum. So onto the last point on this slide, this kind of prices smaller LPs out of the market. If you were going to provide liquidity with, say, $100 or even $1,000, it may not be possible to do that if you need to spend $100 on rebalancing your position every month or so. So moving on to the next slide, this is why we built Unipilot. So what Unipilot does is it selects the optimal range for you based on back testing, and we'll go into the back testing later on further. So when you come to Unipilot, your liquidity is still on Uniswap, but Unipilot is just managing the position for you. So it tells you the optimal range, so you don't need to think which range should I put it in, where does it go, and be confused. If it happens that your position goes out of range, which is likely because this is how Uniswap V3 works, the Unipilot protocol will rebalance your position for you, so there's no cost for you. You don't need to monitor your position and check it every day or every few days to see how it's going. It will, if it goes out of range, the protocol rebalances the position for you, gets it back into a new suitable range. And you can also choose your degree of concentration, and we can go into that as well a bit more later. So yeah, so on to, I guess, what you asked about. We've been live on Ethereum for quite a while now, about a year, and we were excited to choose Polygon as our first route of expansion. So we launched on Polygon about a week ago now, and with that launch, we actually added some new features to the DApp. So one of those is multiple vault strategies that I just mentioned. So a user can select a really narrow, a really wide, or a balanced range, and also rebalance tolerances. And for both of these things, we'll go into more detail from the devs shortly. Yeah, I think I'll pass on to Anas now.
I think, David, let's slide back to the slide in which we are talking about the multiple strategies. Let's talk about that a little further, what that means. So I can take over from there. So Zondi, like you asked, so our journey started for Unipilot from Ethereum. So we chose to build an architecture of providing people's liquidity into the concentrated ranges, right? And the way it works is that the Unipilot itself makes a single position with concentrated ranges, and people who are using Unipilot, they provide liquidity through us. And what really means is that Unipilot uh, aggregates all of the liquidity into a single position, and people can then basically earn more reward due to those specific strategies. And the main speciality for using the Unipilot in that sense is that it rebalances your position based on the current market conditions of those pair. Now, on Ethereum, if I talk about the performance, we launched on Ethereum on First April, and now it's almost the end of October. And Unipilot on Ethereum has collectively generated around $200,000 of fees just from the positions of different pairs, active vaults on Uniswap. So that's the whole journey up till now on Ethereum, and it's still going on. And regarding the difference between Unipilot and on Uniswap is that we provide the universal option of making your own vaults through Unipilot, or you can just use the active vaults. So these two types of categories of vaults, the difference between them is that in active vaults, Unipilot manages your liquidity and rebalances on its own, and we also the protocol itself chooses the strategies too. And in the passive vaults, you as an individual can just come on Unipilot and basically can create your own pair, which can be any token that is present on Uniswap. So that is what is really happening on Ethereum. Now, what is different on Polygon and what we realized during the journey of Ethereum is that we wanted to introduce multiple strategies to the people because. We have a wide community. There is a different choice for every liquidity provider based on their preference of concentration. So what we realize is that we need to provide multiple strategies in which we can say that we provided three types of strategies, which are narrow, balanced, and wide. And the difference is that the main difference is the spread of the ranges according to the concentration. So if you're providing liquidity in a narrow range, it will basically earn you more fees due to the more concentration, but also it is also a range in which the price might go out of range quickly. And the same is for the balance and wide strategies, but the difference is that the spreads will go wider and wider according to the choice of the strategy. So how it solved the problem is that it provided user to choose from different sort of spreads. On top of that, we also realized another thing that we could introduce, and that is a new feature that we introduced on Polygon, is the rebalancing tolerance to reduce the impermanent loss. Now, for liquidity providers, the main issue for providing liquidity on Uniswap V3 is the realization of impermanent loss, because when you provide assets as a liquidity, the market moves and you expect to have some assets converted into a cheaper asset. And that is a big problem for the people who are coming to provide their assets. Now we realized that, and we saw that if we stop the vault from converting into one asset, then we could basically reduce the chance of impermanent loss. So we basically coded a sub-range between the main ranges that we are using. And what this sub-range does is that when the current price hits this rebalance tolerance range, um, it rebalances at that time when the vault is not fully converted into one asset. Anas will also explain this into a bit further in detail. So that is the part which is different from Ethereum on Polygon. So David, you can go to the next slide. All right, so Anas, you can continue from the vault strategies and you can explain how we set the spreads on our vaults and what is the procedure behind that. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much. So on Ethereum, what we were doing was that we backtest our previous data on the generated strategies that we generate based on the current market volatility and the price. And we backtest on 30 to 60 days prior to the current date. Uh, what were we doing? What we were doing was we simulate the swaps on the previous data and calculate the fees generated on that data and the impermanent loss from it. B- and we calculate the net returns from the data. And usually we do that in iteration to find out the maximum yield bearing combinations. But that process still needs to be improved to minimize the more impermanent loss. So like Mubashir tells before that, in order to minimize the impermanent loss more, we introduce the rebalancing tolerance in our strategy, uh, which we'll be launching on Ethereum as well in the coming weeks. What it does, it doesn't wait for the strategy to completely go out of the range. But at some point in time before the upper or lower limit, we rebalance it ourselves, minimizing the impermanent loss our position can realized. The rebalancing tolerance are wide enough to let the price move inside the range, so the position can earn the fees. And like uh, the position can earn the fees, so that before we rebalance, the position don't go out of the range. Also, the rebalancing, we also gauge our strategies. Like previously, we made our strategies, and we also measure or gauge on the mainnet, but we haven't post the result. We are still looking forward posting the result with the community as well, so that our process can also go public. Also, the tolerance number we set based on the volatility of the asset and the type of strategy we choose, which is the narrow, balanced, or the wide. That is what we are doing with our current vaults on Ethereum, sorry, on Polygon, and which we'll be doing on the Ethereum as well. We'll also optimizing our current vault strategies, and we are also researching on it, which will be further explained by Brahman in the next slide.
So the core ideology behind, optimizing liquidity is that you should be able to generate more returns than just hodling, right? Plain and simple. If I am putting my liquidity in a pool, I should be able to, generate excess returns than just holding the asset. And the thing which, really is a bug, not exactly a bug, a pain, which prevents us from doing that is impermanent loss. The market volatility conditions just sometimes don't go in your favor, and you end up converting all of your asset in another asset, right? Which produces less returns than you would have just hodled onto your assets. So the core ideology is to maximize the LP, the liquidity providers' returns. Now, how do we do that? So, as explained earlier, the whole sort of rundown of our strategy is that the user deposits their liquidity in a range we set, and whenever that range hits the tolerance or goes beyond the tolerance, we swap out, we rebalance, right? While rebalance, all of the amounts that are in the vault are used for maximum capital efficiency, so that there is not an iota of funds left which are sitting idle, not earning fees, because then what's the point? Now, determination of ranges is a tricky one. So, the price data, the price data indicates that, using an efficient market hypothesis, the price data indicates that all of the conditions of the markets, the volatility, the news, each and everything is absorbed in the price data. Now, the whole, rundown of the process is that by building, by mimicking Uniswap's behavior with respect to Unipilot on a previous amount of time, what ranges should be there that produce an excess return than just hodling? We worked on that. It has been extensive amount of work, and results up to now have been able to prove that there are certain ranges which will be implemented in Unipilot on Poly that produce a return which is in excess, which is a premium on top of what you've just hodled. The process flow is a bit lengthy, but I'll just break it down in small parts. That we use the previous data, the price swap and the liquidity providing data. So we want to mimic the entire gist and front, right and center, the entire process of an AMM. And by doing that, we are actually back testing our models on some on ranges which will provide us with returns excess than hodling in a certain time period. Those ranges are then tested for a forward time. So assume you're in January, and you found that, hey, these ranges performed well in December. Now I want to see if these ranges perform well in January. How do I do that? I do the same process for over a 6 to 8 month time, and I see if I made aggregated money in excess of hodling. that is the whole ideology, that in the long run an LP provider, a liquidity provider, should be able to make more money than just sitting on their assets. The process flow goes there. The end results are going to be, well, back testing is one thing, but sometimes there are variables you can't really imitate. The pricing data can't imitate in in price. The conditions aren't imitated in pricing data. So a certain amount of pilot test using the entire, the entire process, the entire ideology, the entire ranges is going to be held, so that we know that we've done this on paper. Does it actually hold true in market conditions? And I am pretty confident that till now the work we've done is still a great degree of mimicking the reality. We've got every sort of data you could fathom to mimic the reality on an AMM. So that's how the strategy has evolved in since we were planning to launch on Poly, and how it's currently going.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's really cool what you guys are doing.
If you don't mind, I've got a slide on sort of the business model and the tokenomics. So we could cover that if that's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. I was very curious about the pilot token, so that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the Unipilot protocol itself generates revenue. So obviously our users earn the liquidity, the LP fees, the optimized LP fees. The Unipilot protocol takes a small cut of these fees. On Polygon, it's 10%. This then, so with that 10% cut, that is used to pay pilot stakers. So this gives the pilot token strong utility. You can stake the pilot token on our platform and earn a share of the protocol revenue. Now, this not only gives the token utility, it also lets our community share in the success of Unipilot. And some of the revenue is also used to add additional liquidity to the protocol. So this is what we call protocol-owned liquidity. This generates further returns from our revenue. So it's like a strong positive flywheel effect. And it also ensures the sustainability of the protocol. So we're earning revenue. That's what people like to see, so that we have an incentive to keep working. In terms of the pilot token supply, we started off initially with 20 million tokens, and we realized this was too high after a while, so we decided to start a quarterly burn scheme. So because our pilot tokens are vested, each quarter a certain amount is unlocked, and what we basically do is just immediately burn them. So we started with 20 million, we've already burned it down to 10.5 million, and over the next year or so it's going to drop.
Oh, I think he may have just cut out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So David might have disconnected due to his internet. So I can complete his slide talking about the circulating supply, and we basically quarterly we burn a certain amount of pilot tokens, and it is estimated to be burned in 3 years. And what remains will be that we'll be burning around 78% of the total supply of the pilot token. So that is basically the business model. After that, along with staking, the another utility of pilot token is it is used as a governance token to vote on the snapshot. So as David explained about the staking, so the staking architecture of Unipilot works in a way that people stake Unipilot tokens, and the reward they earn is basically the revenue generated in the previous month from the liquidity of Unipilot. And we also took a vote from the communities in a way that in which form do they want their reward as. So they all voted ETH as the token to be given in the reward of staking. And so yeah, right now the staking of Unipilot monthly, basically we top up the revenue of Unipilot converted into the ETH, and the stakers basically earn ETH with respect to the revenue of Unipilot. So yeah, that is another utility of Unipilot, and in the future we are planning to go completely decentralized in a way in the form of DAO. So the people will be taking part into the important decisions of the protocol similar in a way that we expanded to Polygon, and then we will be taking the vote from the people to expand in which chain we will be going next. So yeah, that is basically the business model of Unipilot that David was explaining, and so I think Anas can get the stream back if you guys can see the screen, the slides. Anas, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, and the next one is that Zonzi, we would like to explain our growth areas. So if I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So on the growth side, David has been working a lot, and we have like on one side we have expanded to Polygon, and in next 2 months we will be expanding to Optimism and Arbitrum. Alongside with that, interestingly, we started with Uniswap V3 because at that time concentrated liquidity provision was only possible on Uniswap. Right now we are seeing SushiSwap going to that direction. We also see many other DEXs like QuickSwap, and on Solana we also see Orca Whirlpool. They also are integrating the constant liquidity provision because that is such a nice concept to give people the freedom to choose the concentration on the liquidity curve. So our next goal is to go out of the ecosystem of just Uniswap, and we want to target to go towards a universal liquidity investment tool, basically. So in a way, a user when comes to the Unipilot will be able to deposit liquidity on not just on Uniswap, they will be able to deposit on any DEX, any AMM that is basically providing the concentration. So that is another big area, and we are already in talks with different DEXs who are interested in basically integrating Unipilot as a manager tool for the concentrated liquidity. Apart from that, let me also tell you guys about the partnerships that we have been doing. On Ethereum, we basically partnered with AirSwap, and they invested their liquidity by making an active pool on Unipilot. And apart from that, we also partnered with Neo Tokyo, which is an NFT-centric protocol. They made an active vault, and currently on Unipilot, their vault, which is bytes, the token is bytes, and that vault is basically currently the highest performing vault on Unipilot, and it's basically giving the APRs in triple digits. So these two partnerships have been the major since we launched on Ethereum on April, and since we launched on Polygon, we are already in talks with different protocols, including the DEX that wants to integrate us as a manager. Apart from that, the last one is marketing campaigns and potential claim drop idea. I think David is here, he's back, so he can also explain about the marketing campaigns and potential claim drop efforts that he's been running. David, over to you.
Yeah, sorry guys, I lost internet connection there briefly. I'm not sure where you guys lost me. I'll start again on this growth area, shall I? So we launched on Polygon last week. We're looking to launch on layer 2 networks this quarter, so Arbitrum and Optimism first. I think Mubashir alluded to this already, but obviously we work with Uniswap, but we can also work with any DEX that offers concentrated liquidity, and we're in discussions with a DEX at the moment to expand to them and manage liquidity for their users. Mubashir also mentioned partnerships there. That's a key area for us. So I was saying when I was probably lost connection is that we don't just benefit users, we also benefit projects because we can improve the capital efficiency of their token so that traders can buy in and out with less slippage. And yeah, marketing campaigns, we've been cautious about marketing campaigns recently. We're just launching some now. With the expansion to Polygon, we've just started advertising on Polygon Scan. One of the big initiatives we hope to take soon is to do a claim drop, which would be very highly targeted to Uniswap LPs. So a lot of claim drops that you see in the industry, or airdrops you see in the industry, end up just getting heavily sold, and it's not really benefiting the project. But ours would be highly targeted towards Uniswap LPs, and they would have to migrate their liquidity to Unipilot first, and then they can claim some pilot token. So this would be really good for our TVL and growing awareness with our target user base. And unless there's any other questions, I guess we can move on to more the Q&A side.
Yeah, that'd be great. I feel like you guys did a really good job covering like everything as like a really thorough overview, and honestly covered a lot of the questions that I had prepared. Um, One thing I think would be really cool if you could provide a breakdown of like the main differences between the Uniswap V2 model and the Uniswap V3 model for like providing liquidity. I think that would be super helpful.
I can do like a really simple layman's term one, and then maybe the devs want to jump in after me and give any more details. So with Uniswap V2, liquidity is just provided across an infinite range. So it's really simple, but it's not capital efficient at all. With V3, you have to select the range for your liquidity, so you can make it concentrated. This can, I think Uniswap says it can be up to 4,000 times more capital efficient. Because even though crypto prices, as we know, are super volatile, they never move in within an infinite range, so to speak. So they're always trading with a certain range where you could provide your liquidity on Uniswap V3, and you'll earn far higher returns. And that's the depth of my technical knowledge. So I'll let the other guys jump in if they want to.
Okay, so I'll just carry on what with David said. So I'll just give you a very simple example on how we could gauge the difference between V2 and V3. So let's assume the sun is shining bright, right? And its sunshine is on a lot of ground, but you put a magnifying glass under it, and you can burn the grass under the magnifying glass. Essentially, what Uniswap V3 does is that it allows you for custom ranges where you deposit your liquidity. For an example, if there is a USDT and a USDC pool, a stables pool, right? The price wouldn't really go beyond $1.01, or it wouldn't go below $0.99. So what's the point in adding your liquidity other than those ranges? It wouldn't be earning any fees. It would be just sitting there idle. What the V3 allows you to do that is that it tells you that, okay, you think that, let's say, Ethereum prices are going to go up max till, let's say, 3,000 by next month, and they're going to go low till, let's say, that 1,000 by next month. You've got two ballpark figures. You put your liquidity between them, so you know that you're earning the fees when your money is, when the liquidity you've provided is in the money. People are actually willing to buy and sell your assets at that particular price points. It doesn't make really sense to put a sell or a sell for Ethereum for, like, let's say $10,000 right now, right? I mean, nobody would be buying it. So how would you earn the fees over there?
Yep, good explanation.
Awesome. By the way, guys, if you have any questions for the Unipilot team, well, we're lucky enough to have them here, please feel free to just drop them in the text channel and I'll make sure they get asked. Um, One thing that I think would be cool to talk about a bit more would be your partnerships and like the significance of them. Um, it mentions on your website, you have a partnership with Neo Tokyo and you're backed by Zord Ventures. So if you could like explain like why those are important partnerships, and is there any other like important partnerships you have going on?
Yeah, that's a good question. We partnered with Neo Tokyo only a few weeks ago. They're actually a pretty big NFT based project, and they've got some famous founders. So Elio Trades and Alex Becker. Some of you might have heard of them. They're the joint founders of NFT Tokyo, and they have a token called Bytes token. So we partnered and we helped to optimize their liquidity. So to increase the capital efficiency of their token, reduce slippage when people trade, and also make it easier for their community to add liquidity so that their community doesn't have to face these issues with using Uniswap directly. And then also cross marketing. So we did like an AMA with them, and we exposed each other's community to each other so they can learn about other projects. That's one example. As Mabashir mentioned, we previously partnered with AirSwap, which is a peer-to-peer exchange. And quite a long time ago, we partnered with AMP. But AMP has moved to focus its liquidity on places like Coinbase, so they don't really need to focus on Uniswap anymore. But yeah, partnerships are a great way. Like, marketing in the crypto space is quite expensive. Sometimes it's not particularly successful because there's so much noise. Everyone's trying to sell their token or advertise their token, so there's a lot of noise crowding out any marketing you do. So a partnership is a really good way of reaching new users. It doesn't cost you money. If the other project has a big community, they're telling their community about your project. So it's a great way to reach new users without wasting money on traditional marketing.
Yeah, it's like building mutually beneficial relationships too, and I think it's one of the key differentiators of this space. In Web 2, you got paid to build like these closed gardens, and I don't know, where as Web 3 it's a lot more collaborative, and which is really nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Also, quickly, you mentioned Xord. So yeah, Unipilot is in the Xord ecosystem, and I think my colleagues will have a better explanation for what Xord do. But they're basically a large. I think it's about 150 Web3 developers, all the skills we need basically. So whenever we need to do a new website, we have resources from Xord to help us. Dev resources, designing videos, basically anything you could possibly need. Design a graphic. With this presentation that you're looking at now, I asked for the background from one of my colleagues from Xord. So you can see we really have the ability to pull on a ton of resources when needed without having to go to some expensive third party, or without facing a crisis no one can help us. So it's really great being in the Xord ecosystem for Unipilot.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'd never heard of them before, so that's
Oh, and of course they
interesting stuff.
also have a auditing unit called Block Apex, and they audited Unipilot for us. So yeah, it's a really great benefit for being in their ecosystem.
Yeah, most definitely. You were talking about how Unipilot has the potential to expand to additional decentralized exchanges. I'm curious, like, what are some of the exchanges that you might look into supporting?
Yeah, so there's a few different options. So I believe SushiSwap launched Trident on Polygon, but on Polygon, I think a big DEX would be QuickSwap. They now have concentrated liquidity. So QuickSwap is pretty big on Polygon, as you know. Any others, guys?
Yeah, so I also mentioned there is constant liquidity DAX on Solana, which is Orca Whirlpool. So the motive behind being open to be connected with all the AMMs is wherever we will see the concentrated AMMs, will be ready to be integrated with them as a concentrated liquidity manager. So yeah, Unipilot in that sense is pretty universal, and we are constantly striving to expand to different ecosystems. Uniswap is just a start for us, and it's a big start. Basically, Uniswap expanded from Ethereum to Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism. Then yeah, so we started from here, but yeah, we are open to be integrated with the likes of QuickSwap and the other bodies that David mentioned.
Super exciting. Um, what are your thoughts on in regards to additional chains coming out? All the there's Polygon, ZK, EVM, and you mentioned Arbitrum and Optimism. What other like, I don't know, blockchains would you be excited about? I don't know. Or I guess I'm trying to, like, what I'm ultimately trying to ask is, like, what's in the roadmap and, like, pipeline for the long term? Like, where do you envision yourself, like, in the long term from now? Do you see, like, yourself being a very on, like, several different blockchains, or what do you see in the future for Unipilot?
Yeah, so we envision Unipilot to be used as an investment tool, as simple as that. It shouldn't be confined to just management of liquidity on some DEXs. It can be expanded in a way that people could use Unipilot to provide their investment in any form of assets. And then Unipilot would decide for them to be where to invest it so that people would get the better returns. Or better is that Unipilot can move their assets from one DAX, from one chain to another chain in a way that the user doesn't have to worry about it. So for the chains, like you mentioned, we are focusing on liquidity provision because we think that this needs the most the part of management. But as a team at Exord, we are constantly researching on the ideas like expanding as an investment tool for lending or borrowing protocols, for example, as an aggregator layer that would take the assets of the people and invest on different like landing platforms, different like liquidity provision platforms, or staking, for example. So that is how I envision Unipilot to be used as a universal tool to invest money.
Awesome. Um, See, I would define you guys as a concentrated liquidity optimizer for the most part. So I'm curious, like, do you have any other competitors, and what allows Unipilot to stand out from them?
Yeah, so when we started with this niche, we had around 3 to 4 competitors named as like Popsicle Finance. You may have heard about Lixer, Gamma Strategies. They all are pretty big in this niche too. And along the lines, what we found is that we could do different. Is that like Popsicle or Lixer were correct me if I'm wrong, they were working on active liquidity management, but the way they were working is that they would just create limited vaults, and they would basically manage those vaults for the people, so people could just use those vaults to LPN. What we did different is that we provided the people with a choice of both. So people could use the active words that we made for them, the strategies that we made for them. People could use that, or they can also create their own worlds. So from the likes of partnerships, for example, when Neo Tokyo came to us to partner, we didn't have any bytes vault. They asked us about making a vault for bytes, so we created a vault for them. So that's an active vault that we prepared for them. But on the contrary, on Polygon, a person came and he wanted to try LPing, and then he basically made a pair for a Nash token, which is Nax, and he was able to just create his own position through Unipilot, and it was also managed from our contract. So the freedom, that's the freedom that is different. Um, that that's the difference that Unipilot creates versus the competitors, because the competitors who are like the Charm Finance, the Gamma or Popsicle, are providing either one of them, whether they are providing the passive management or the active management. But what we do is that we are combining both of these, and we are basically Unipilot provides a universal liquidity optimizing solution for people.
Fantastic. Um, I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions for the Unipilot team, make sure to drop them in the text channel. I know they've already done an incredible job, like being providing super elaborate answers and um, very detailed explanations of their protocol and concentrated liquidity. And um, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about that you haven't already had the chance to?
If it's okay, David can basically give a short walkthrough of the DApp screen sharing.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
David, you can
Okay.
share your screen then.
Put me on the spot like that, hey? Okay. Yeah, so you lost me earlier because my internet went down. Let's hope it doesn't go down now as well.
Are
Here
you
we are.
using
So
a
if you
Chromebook?
come... Yes, I am, yeah. I've got a
Oh,
little cheap Chromebook.
that's so cool. It looks really sleek.
So as you can see, it launches on Ethereum. I'll swap over to Polygon.
Right,
So you
right
can
off
see
the
on our
hop,
stat...
I gotta say, one of my favorite features is that you actually let people see the DApp without connecting their wallet. That's huge,
Okay.
I think. I
Yeah,
find so
yeah.
many dApps, it's like you'll load up the site and you have to connect your wallet to see anything, and I find that so irritating.
Yeah, I agree. It's off-putting. You're like, do I want to connect to this? You're not going to show me what you are before. It could be risky. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, so this is our stats page. This is where you start off when you open the DApp. You can see all the different vaults here. So this is ordered by TVL at the moment, but you can choose by APR or whatever you like. So at the moment, let's see, the top vault by TVL is the USDC ETH balance vault. So that means this one is not extremely concentrated. It's not really wide. It's our balance version. This logo means it's managed. Mabashir mentioned we have active and so-called passive or community vaults. This is an active one, which is managed by the protocol. So if you're using one with this logo, these will be rebalanced on your behalf. You don't need to pay those fees or worry about it going out of range. Let's find the narrow one. The narrow one's here with a higher APR. This is like 37 or 41% APR. If we click through to this one, and you'll see that all the key information is pre-selected for you. So on Uniswap, you would have to choose the price range yourself. Here, so you've got the pair information, the fee tier, which is the Uniswap fee tier. The strategy that I clicked on was narrow. We can see the APR, and we can see a graphical representation of the range. So at the moment, the price of Ethereum is 1413 USDC. This is the range that it's within, from 1266 to 1442. This is the tolerance threshold that the guys were talking about. So once it hits one of those ranges, it would rebalance. And then adding liquidity is a simple case of, enter the amount you want of one asset, and it tells you how much of the other is needed, and then you can just add the liquidity, and then you can go to your dashboard. I'm not connected at the moment, but then from your dashboard you can see your position, you can see how many fees you've earned. So it's quite a simple user experience. You can skip all the selecting a range and worrying about rebalancing. You just choose your vault, add liquidity, and sit back, and everything's done for you.
This is so cool. I think it's an amazing service that you're providing for the Polygon DeFi community.
Just briefly back on the Ethereum version, we sort by APR. We can see the Bytes vault that Mabashir mentioned. So their token is currently earning 440% APR. With various other vaults, we've got a Lux pair. These are community vaults. Someone created a Gitcoin vault, a Uniswap vault. But it's our Polygon DApp that has these new features, such as the concentration preferences and the tolerance thresholds. So I think that's the demonstration done, unless there's anything else you guys want to mention.
Can anybody come along and set up one of these vaults?
Yeah, exactly. So when Mabashir said we're universal, that's what he means. So with some of our competitors, they just give you the vaults you can use. With ours, we have our vaults that we've created, but yeah, like you say, anyone can come on. Just like on Uniswap, we try to be as decentralized as possible. You can go and create a new pair on Uniswap, and for the same reason, you can come here and create a new pair. The pair has to exist on Uniswap, of course. There has to be underlying liquidity, but anyone can come on here. And if you want to outperform the market, you can create a vault for your token of choice. If it's the token you want to hold, the token you want to LP for, come and create a vault and outperform the market and earn higher fees.
Amazing. So you mentioned that these narrow and wide vaults and balanced vault strategies are unique to Polygon. Is that because of the gas fees required to manage them?
Guys, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so that is one of the major reasons that we wanted to try this sort of creating the sub-ranges, creating the tolerance, and these three strategies. So as I already told that we launched on Ethereum, and when we launched on Ethereum, the gas fees were way high at that point. And as you know, that rebalancing takes a lot of cost on Ethereum. So we wanted to first try these different strategies for the people on Polygon and see how would that pan out. And clearly, right now, from our data that we have been collecting on the narrow vault, it's performing really good. So that is one of the reasons why we wanted to try this on Polygon first and introducing the community to this so that they won't feel too intimidated towards the gas fees and see how it works out. And the later we will be then providing the same features on Ethereum based on the data that we are collecting right now on Polygon.
Incredible. I feel like this is fairly complicated, but you guys have done an incredible job providing such a comprehensive overview of how everything works. So this has been such a phenomenal AMA.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Definitely love to have some questions from the listeners.
Yeah, Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because you guys have done such a good job explaining everything, but there's definitely a good
It's
amount of
got to be
people
that.
here tuning in. So, um,
Yeah, so
well,
I guess if anyone thinks of any other questions, they can always join our Telegram, check our Twitter out.
boom. That
Happy
was
to.
my next question. Where's the next best place, or where's the best place to follow up with you guys?
There you go. So we do have a Discord, but we're most active on Telegram. So I'd check out our Telegram, check out our Twitter page to follow us, and check out our website,
Message me directly on
unipilot.io.
Twitter too.
Awesome. Yeah, this is so cool. I guess one question I have: are there ways that users can earn the pilot token?
So no, we used to have yield farming many months back, but because we want to be really careful with inflation, we don't want to harm our holders. We don't want it to become a sort of a meme token that just gets handed out easily. So we stopped any yield farming, and we're really cautious with inflation. So there isn't really a way to earn pilot token. But what you can do is if you hold pilot tokens, you can stake them, earn the staking rewards, which are paid out in Ethereum. So it gives the token a use case. Sometimes people don't want to leave something sitting in their wallet. This gives it a use case. You can stake it and earn Ethereum. And maybe in the future, if we do that claim drop idea I mentioned, that would be a way for people who don't yet know about and don't yet use Unipilot to earn the tokens. But we're really cautious about just handing out the tokens because we don't want to harm our holders.
That's awesome and very respectable. Yeah, yeah. I could see on the staking page, like it looks like the 1 year APY is just above 5%, right? So yeah, it's very low emissions to keep it. And I think
So
like
that
oh,
So that one quick caveat there's that 5% you see, that is not any emissions of the pilot token. That is actually earning the protocol revenue. So Unipilot takes a small little cut of all fees earned, a little 10% cut, and some of that is paid to stakers. So that's not actually emitting any pilot inflation. That's actually Ethereum getting paid to stakers.
oh, okay, gotcha. And I noticed that's like when you is that a lockup or is that just the 1 year projection?
No, it's not locked at all. You can add and remove your pilot at
Oh,
any
okay,
moment. That's
cool.
just the 1 year APR, and that fluctuates based on the revenue the protocol earns. So as we're reasonably new, we've only just launched on Polygon. As the TVL rises, the protocol revenue will increase, and therefore the staking rewards will increase as well.
That's so cool. And I like that you guys also have a ROI calculator built into your front end that anybody can go use real simply. That's a really nice feature.
Yeah,
Overall, it's an incredible UI.
thanks, man. It sounds like that might be it then.
Yeah, I feel like this was like really good, comprehensive. I can't think of anything else to ask. You guys basically answered all my questions before I even raised them. So it's been really good.
Yeah, it's been great. Yes, thanks so much for having us.
Just want to wait a second and let Snakes finish
Yeah.
typing. Oh, here
Okay.
we go. The protocol revenue, is it how does it distributed? Is it 10% for dev, 40% for LP, and 40% for stakers? Yeah, I guess Snakes is just wondering how the protocol revenue works.
A good question. So collect the revenue, the 10% fee on all fees earned on the protocol, and then 40% of that goes to stakers, and then the other 60% is, it's not exactly clear, but we generally add that. That is generally to ensure the sustainability of the protocol. But at the moment, we're not spending it. We literally just add it as protocol owned liquidity onto Unipilot so that it can generate more returns for the protocol. And then when needed, we can use this revenue to, for example, pay for a marketing campaign without having to use pilot tokens, which goes back to the point I was making that we're super cautious about just spending pilot tokens because our community have, got involved, shown trust in us buying the pilot token, staking it. We don't want to then just sell a load of pilot tokens and harm them. So we're super careful with spending pilot tokens. So yeah, by generating revenue, 40% goes to stakers, 60% we can add additional revenue to the protocol to generate further returns from it, and when needed, cover expenses such as marketing.
I think that's a sounds like a really great healthy mix. It sounds like you guys are very focused on building for the long term, which is really nice to see. Like majority of the big like blue chip projects, they're born out of bear markets apparently. So yeah, I don't know. This has been a really great AMA. I'm fired up about Unipilot.
Oh, great, thanks. So just remind anyone, anyone interested, check out our website, unipilot.io, hit our Telegram app. We're very active on Telegram. Any questions you have will be answered almost within minutes, in real time, basically.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to encourage everyone to go give Unipilot a follow and, test it out. Maybe make one of your own strategies on the platform. And yeah, I guess that's everything. Thanks so much for joining, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot for the questions and watching our presentation. Thanks for your time, Zonzi.
Yeah, thank you.
Exactly.
Really appreciate having all of you guys from Unipilot here. You guys, this was awesome. Thank you for doing this for the Polygon DeFi community.
It's been great for us as well. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Yeah, you as well. I hope everyone has an awesome day. Bye now. Thanks again for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye.